It is the age of magic. Calamity spreads through the once slumbering wilderness. Foul creatures have been stirred from their depths, and once again man walks these lands. A history long forgotten will be unearthed. Will their stories endure?
Dear Diary, I did not deserve that pleasure. A thrill that tingled the tips of my toes to depths of my soul. His touch was as gentle as a butterfly floating careless through the wind. His grip was as firm as a warrior clinging to the steel in his axe. His words were as chilled as a calm lake on a windless night. His body was as steamy as a pool of water waiting about fiery lava rocks. Forgotten are the whispers that he floated through my ears. My only cherished memory is the unbuckling of his plate mail armor, followed by the slow undoing of my lavender pink dress.
Tattered love letter. Ah, my pale lover, what should I tell before the memory falls from my mind? Sweet, you are so handsome, but I guess they're all when this is your type. I had reason for aiming high, I can almost recall. Something to do with social rank. I am off topic again, and I don't have much time. Okay, focus. Just thought you should know that your champion doesn't want you. He loves younger gents and dark alleys, and getting his name into songs. But he doesn't love you. Not the way I love and will always. When you finally come to your senses, you know where to find me. However, don't believe a word these folks say about me. I will say it here. He came for me. You must have sent him. You wretched, hateful... No. Not you, my sweet. It must have been someone else. Someone who witnessed our love and was envious. Yes, of course. Of course. Moving on. He confronted me with lies and rumors. Whispers about town must have poisoned his mind. His voice raised, face flaming with rage. I had no choice. He wouldn't see reason. And you deserve a steady hand, not a hot hand. He forced this upon you by defying me. No, us. So I did what was necessary to secure our path to each other. You always spoke of him as a god, but I've never read of a god who bled or cried like a swine as I carved limbs from his perfect body. Was quite easy to do as the town folks ran about, screaming about a gateway. No one cared. But enough of him. He's in the past, and we are the future. Courage is called for. I will not waver. To my God, I make sacrifice of myself. Only then shall we be together, like we were in our younger days. If you continue to denounce my advances even after this gesture, I will hunt you until you bend to madness. Yours in love eternal, L.
Darkness. Looking into the darkness, the remnants of a world once lush and green. Gone are fertile valleys, even the farms and fields. The skeletons of vast cities are all that seem to remain. Where have all the forest gone? Could man have destroyed them all? Questions without answers, though conclusions could be drawn. Now all that's left is the darkness in a world that once was green.
Entry 5. Roadside Prayer. Events have begun to get stranger and stranger. What started as a simple supply run has turned into a chase of sorts. As Magus Grellin and I headed to Brungfuntal, a half-day's ride at best, we encountered a group of clerics from the Abbey. I hold little stock in their pious ways, believing that their answers and opinions are the only way. However, I have learned, painstakingly so, that there is power in prayer. Given the nature of this encounter, I have decided to detail in full in this journal. Perhaps it will, ironically, shed some light on the current state of affairs once more information is found. We began our journey in the cover of night. Magus Grellin has gotten paranoid in these last few days. Why, I am unsure. He believes that the word has gotten out in the experiments being used on the gateways. His concerns were justified when we ran into the clerics. There were 6 of them altogether. Given the option, Grellin and I would have continued past them. A magical barrier, shrouded by fire, kept us from doing just that. We slowed to a halt, allowing the clerics to take positions on either side of our wagon. The leader of their group, a man with a balding round face and a rounder belly, stepped forward. "Hail, and well met, friends," he said, bowing for emphasis. "I am Bishop Lurio, and these are my companions." The other clerics bowed in mock politeness. Grellin looked at me before speaking.
"Well met to you as well, friends. Magus Grellin is my name. My companion is Kesserak the Purple. Tell me, why have you blocked our path?"
Bishop Lirio smiled at Grellin. It was far from a pleasant smile. The most accurate description would be a poor, unfortunate soul's smile, the kind only a holy man would give a sinner after confession. "My pardon I give you. Word has reached the Abbey that these roads are no longer safe for simple travelers. There's talk of strange folk along the road, those that wish to bring harm to merchant and peasant alike. Dark days are approaching. It would be bad form if we were not to take this matter seriously."
Perhaps if taxes went to the recruitment of guards instead of temples, your services would not be required,
said Grellin. I could tell his irritation was overriding his courtesy. "Blasphemy!" said one of the clerics, a rather sanguine man who spent more time with a goblet of wine in his hand instead of prayer beads. "Calm yourself, brother," said Bishop Lurio. "I'm sure the Magus meant no offense." The awkward silence ensued as Grellin and the bishop locked eyes. There was a battle of wills happening, and while the Magus was as stubborn as any dwarf I had ever met, I was unsure who would win. The answer came apparent when Grellin spoke first.
"As you can see, we're but a pair of mages riding from Brungfuntal. If you would be so kind as to remove your barrier and step aside, we would like to enter the town before break of day," said the Magus.
"What business do you hold in such a town?" asked the bishop. "There is no wizard's tower, nor any of your kind within the city. And where do you hail from? There is nothing of consequence in the east." Grellin's eyes narrowed at that suggestion. I understood it as well. To the east of Brungfuntal, there are only one of 4 gates. Before I could ponder on the implication of the bishop's words, the Magus spoke.
Our business is of our own, priest, and my kind doesn't answer to you nor your abbey. Move aside,
said Grelin. The clerics laughed at some kind of joke. I had an idea of what was coming next. My dear Magus, said the bishop, while your business is your own, you are on our road. Here we are the law, and the gods are the jury. Step from your wagon and come with us quietly. The cardinal will decide your fate. Grelin held out his hand, gesturing me to remain seated.
I think not. The abbey has no authority over the flesh. Your kind deals in souls and prayer. We are leaving.
The bishop laughed, though no humor could be found. Magus, you are terribly outnumbered. You cannot win this fight.
Outnumbered? Aye, that we are. However, you are terribly outmatched,
said Grelin. A fireball appeared in his hand with a gesture. The area around him brightened with a red flame. He flicked his hand forward, sending the fireball into the barrier. It collided with the barrier, sending tendrils of flame outward. Bishop Lurio made his move then. He muttered something in the dead language used by clerics and held up his hand. A wave of pure, perhaps divine, energy shot out, knocking Grelin from his seat and onto the road. The other clerics moved in, all chanting and tooting in synchronous order. I cried out for Grelin as I retrieved my staff from the back of the wagon. The bishop required a prayer to use such a spell against my old mentor, but I only need the power of my mind. I raised my staff, willing my magic to flow through its oaken frame. A pulse of blue light shot from the end of my staff, sending a similar wave of energy into Bishop Lurio. The man, standing in a posture of triumph, flew backward 10 feet. His legs gave out, forcing him on his rear. Before he or his brothers could respond, I stamped my staff into the wooden frame of the wagon. The pulse of the blue energy knocked them back as well. The combination of Grelin's fireball and my force spell destroyed the barrier, blowing out their divine flames, much as a gust of wind snuffs out a candle. Grelin jumped into the back of the wagon. His hands were surrounded with arcane symbols and runes, the telltale signs of spell casting.
Ride! Get us from here!
He shouted to me as he extended his hand to a rising cleric. A bolt of pale blue lightning shot from his fingertips. It missed the cleric, but landed close enough to force him back, his hands raised defensively. I grabbed the reins and gave them a sharp whip, causing the horses to pull hard. The wagon began to move down the road. I looked back at Grelin to share in the moment of our near escape. My smile faded once I looked at my old mentor. A tendril of yellow energy had wrapped around his neck. I could see the malicious glow under his beard. He couldn't speak, but his eyes told me that under no certain terms were I to stop before reaching our destination. He pointed to his satchel in the bed of the wagon that sat next to mine. The magical cord around Grelin's neck pulled him then, forcing him from the wagon. I could only watch as the clerics surrounded him. They were out of earshot, but I could still make out their moving lips. One by one, they conjured a similar cord of light, each trapping Grelin in a golden chain. Bishop Lurio looked past my mentor to me. His look told me I would see him again. That was the last I saw of Magus Grelin. I am unsure if he is still alive, or if the bishop executed him on the spot. I found shelter in a local inn, the Golden Friar. If the gods are watching, I am sure they would love the irony. I have bound my room in protective wards, and after I sleep off this fatigue, I will see what is in Grelin's satchel. With any luck, some answers for tonight's strange and frightening events.